Periodically, while using a computer, you may come across situations in which your screen looks like this or this. And what this means is most likely that your graphics card is dying. It is something that you don't need to worry about immediately, but you should get replaced whenever you can. The graphics card, though not needed for most systems, takes a lot of strain off the motherboard and is a very pivotal thing, mainly for gaming PCs and any kind of visually straining software. But before I get onto any of the precautions, you will need two pieces of equipment in order to begin replacing your graphics card. One is the new graphics card, and the second, a trusty screwdriver that will fit any and all the screws that your system may have. Onto the cautions and preparations. Before proceeding, make sure that the current power supply of the computer can handle increased wattage used by the graphics card. If you are unsure, check online for a computer wattage calculator, contact someone with knowledge about the current wattage of the computer, or contact a local computer agent. Failure to allow complete wattage to the graphics card will cause the graphics card not to work and can cause serious damage to other components, mainly the CPU. For the first preparation, make sure that all old VGA drivers are uninstalled prior to installing the new graphics card. Not doing so can cause old driver software to conflict with the new driver software, causing neither to work properly. Afterwards, the computer must be powered down, and then all external cables removed from the computer. Most computers have a manual I/O switch on the back of the power supply, and at this time, the O option should be switched. Make sure that all lights, if any, on each component is off before proceeding to ensure that no power is left inside the computer. Also be sure to remove all static current from your body before touching any of the components inside the computer, while also maintaining statically neutral throughout the entire process of exchanging out the old graphics card. To remove the existing graphics card, we must first remove the case siding opposite the motherboard from its base. This siding is held firmly onto the case with two screws and is slid off the case once the screws are removed. The graphics card is normally directly above the power supply and below the CPU and RAM, but can vary based upon the motherboard and its orientation. To determine where the graphics card is placed, look for the 16 PCIe slots on the motherboard. These PCIe slots are the slots in which the graphics card is inserted and is physically the longest PCIe slots on the motherboard. The old graphics card is secured to the case with either one or two screws depending on the strength of the card. This is to ensure that any movement of the case does not damage the motherboard where the graphics card is attached. All screws holding the graphics card must be removed in order to remove the card, and the screws should then be set aside. A cable leading from the power supply to the graphics card should already be inserted to the graphics card, normally near the top of the card. This cable needs to be carefully unplugged and also set aside. Located at the end of the PCI slot holding the graphics card is a tab which locks the graphics card to the motherboard. Gently push down or pull on this tab to release the graphics card from the motherboard, allowing it to be pulled out. Inserting the new graphics card is effectively just like removing the old graphics card, just in reverse. You would first insert the new graphics card into the 16 PCIe slot, making sure that the outputs for the graphics card are pointed to the outside of the case. Carefully insert the power supply cable coordinating to the power input located at the top of the graphics card into place. The one or two screws removed prior to the installation of the new graphics card need to be screwed back into the case, firmly holding the graphics card to the case. Once everything is plugged back in and everything is snug to the case, plug in all external cords back into the PC and switch the I/O option back to the I position. It is recommended that the side panel of the computer case is not installed back onto the base. This is to allow the installer to see if the new graphics card's fans are spinning upon startup. While ensuring that everything is plugged in correctly, the computer should be turned on and the internal components watched closely. If the system starts up and the monitor shows the information it normally would prior to the new graphics card being installed, this is a good sign. Let the system fully start up. If the PC doesn't start or the monitor doesn't display anything after the PC starts up, check to see if all cables are plugged in correctly and make sure the monitor is turned on. If this doesn't solve the issue, perform a hard reset of the PC by pressing and holding the power button until the PC turns off and then turn it back on. Watch the graphics card closely and make sure that the fans are spinning within seconds of the PC being turned on. If the fans don't start spinning, contact customer support for the graphics card that you now have. Once the PC has fully started up and the desktop is being displayed, the final part of the installation of the new graphics card is the addition of the new drivers for the graphics card. This is done by either going to the AMD or NVIDIA homepages, based upon your graphics card, and downloading the corresponding drivers for the card. And with that final step, the new graphics card is inserted and installed. Hopefully this tutorial helped you learn how to replace a graphics card, and hopefully you don't have to deal with any of those problems in the future. Have a good day.